3 ingredients. No cream. No garlic. No extra tricks. Just one question: can a dish this simple really taste like a restaurant meal, or is luxury always expensive? Because let's be honest, gourmet usually sounds like a giant grocery bill and a long night in the kitchen. And when restaurant prices keep climbing, making something that feels special at home starts to sound less like a cute idea and more like a survival skill. So today, I'm putting that idea to the test with one of the simplest pasta dishes imaginable: butter and Parmesan gnocchi. Here's the challenge. Exactly 3 ingredients. That's it. We need a base, a fat, and a flavor bomb. The base is fresh gnocchi. The fat is unsalted European-style butter. And the flavor bomb is a block of Parmigiano Reggiano. No hidden extras. No sneaky cream. No, just a pinch that turns into a whole pantry. If this turns out glossy, rich, and restaurant-worthy, it's not because we bought more ingredients. It's because we used better technique. And that's the real secret. Gourmet cooking is often not about complexity. It's about control. Heat control. Timing. Texture. The kind of little decisions that turn cheap-looking simplicity into something that feels luxurious the second it hits the plate. So first, the gnocchi goes into salted boiling water. And these little dumplings don't need long. They cook fast, which means you cannot wander off and answer a text or scroll your phone. You watch them closely. At first, they sink. Then, as they cook and their structure changes, they start to float. That float isn't just a cute little cooking myth. It's physics. They've become less dense than the water. But even then, give them just a moment more so the center finishes perfectly. While that happens, the butter goes into the pan. And this is where the whole dish starts to level up. We are not just melting butter. We are browning it. And if you've never done that before, this is the fastest way to make your kitchen smell like a high-end Italian restaurant. As the butter heats, the water cooks off, the milk solids toast, and suddenly you get those tiny golden specks and that deep, nutty aroma. That's beurre noisette. That's flavor concentration in real time. It goes from ordinary to incredible in seconds, and it happens fast enough that you have to stay right there and pay attention. A few seconds too long, and it can go from hazelnut and rich to dark and bitter. This is why European-style butter matters here. It usually has a higher fat content than standard butter, which means less water, a richer mouthfeel, and better browning in the pan. In a dish this minimal, that difference matters. When you only have 3 ingredients, each one has to carry its weight. There's nowhere to hide. And now for the part that makes the sauce work. The gnocchi is floating, so it goes straight into the brown butter. Right away, you'll want to add a splash of pasta water. Not because it sounds fancy. Because it works. The starch in that water is the secret weapon. It helps the fat and the water bind together into a stable emulsion, which is why the sauce suddenly turns silky and glossy instead of greasy and broken. That's the whole magic trick. You do not need cream to make this feel luxurious. You need the right ratio, the right heat, and the right amount of tossing. The pasta water is doing chemistry for you. It smooths out the butter, helps the sauce cling to every ridge of the gnocchi, and transforms the whole pan from loose and separated into something spoon-coating and rich. Now the heat goes off. That matters. Cheese sauces can turn grainy if they get too hot. Because the proteins tighten up and clump instead of melting smoothly. So instead of rushing in with a blazing pan, You let the temperature settle just enough for the Parmesan to melt into the emulsion, not fight it. Then comes the best part, the cheese. A generous shower of finely grated Parmigiano Reggiano goes in. And it should look almost excessive for a second. That's the point. Real Parmigiano Reggiano isn't just any hard cheese. It comes from a tightly defined region in Italy, and the real wheels are tracked and inspected with real quality standards behind them. It's a cheese with history, geography, and rules behind it. And when it's good, you can taste that depth immediately: salty, nutty, sharp, and just a little crystalline. Toss it hard. Really hard. That's how you bring the whole thing together. If the sauce looks broken, you usually don't need more ingredients. You need more motion. More tossing. More emulsion. The cheese melts into the hot butter and starchy water, thickening into a glossy coating that wraps around every piece of gnocchi. This is the moment where the dish stops looking simple and starts looking expensive. And honestly, that's the whole thesis of this recipe. A restaurant-quality meal does not have to mean a long ingredient list or a giant bill. Sometimes it just means understanding how ingredients behave. The butter brings richness. The pasta water brings structure. The Parmesan brings depth. Together, they make something that tastes far bigger than the sum of its parts. And the texture is what really sells it. The gnocchi stays pillowy and soft, the sauce clings beautifully, and every bite feels warm, salty, buttery, and deeply satisfying. It's the kind of dish that makes you pause after the first bite and think, wait, how is this only 3 ingredients? Because that's the reward here. Not just a clever cooking hack. Not just a budget win. But proof that elegance in the kitchen doesn't always come from abundance. Sometimes it comes from restraint. From knowing exactly what to use, when to use it, and when to stop. So let's call it what it is: 3 ingredients, 10 minutes, and a plate that absolutely delivers on the promise of luxury without the price tag. Save this for dinner, and comment 3 for more.